No,
something like that.
that's
But with it,
what's up. What's up?
Woo.
ooh, oh,
God,
how you
stop making that
say
noise.
again?
Don't do
No,
that. That sounds like you're doing something way different.
right. Thank you. I told him. No, we can't. We can't do that one.
Yeah, leave that one alone, bro.
Leave that one alone. Okay.
Cross.
Leave that one alone. Just sip your tea. We got this. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Y'all,
I appreciate y'all. Y'all usually got me though. You know what I'm saying? I like
I
both.
think
I like the both this year.
clearly this is why we have to, or else you're gonna do stuff like that.
I mean, you know what? I'm glad you recognize the things that I do. I appreciate you, girl. You know, I appreciate you.
Lord. So what's wrong with you?
It's the sinuses, man. I sound like Glorilla. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a struggle for me right now. So I got my tea in my hand. Y'all know I usually, I got me some tea or whatever. The sinuses just kicking like Van Damme. Like it's just all up in here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a struggle right now. Right before Thanksgiving too. I'm
Yeah.
like, how you gonna do me like this, Lord? Because I gotta be able to taste the mac and cheese, and it's so I'm
Well,
struggling
where
right
you
now.
been
But
at? What got you sick? Huh?
what got me sick? Mind your business. That's all. Just
I mean,
mind gossip.
losing your taste and stuff. You had to have been somewhere.
I mean,
he was eating tacos.
He was.
eating tacos.
He was
Nah,
excited.
man. I've
Excited last
been.
week to go get some tacos.
Yeah, but y'all got to understand when we say eating tacos, never mind. But anyway, we back another episode. We got an amazing episode today. We're bringing y'all something that we never brought to y'all before. We got another podcast joining us. We've had other podcast guests on before, but they got a totally different podcast, right? Their subject matter is totally different, and it's so much needed on this show because what they talk about is cigars, aka I've been told a good stick. So, not the one that some of you ladies have been looking for, but it could be if you like to smoke. If you like to
I
smoke.
mean, good point, Ken. Good point.
Just saying, you have to clarify sometimes because sometimes we do have other topics that we talk about, and the ladies might think that we can assist them with that. Not this week, ladies.
Well, ladies, this ain't the stick you're looking for, okay?
Well, this might be the stick they're looking for because
it could be.
This could be the stick that leads them to the stick that they're looking for.
Well, hey, you know what I discovered? There are a lot of ladies that smoke cigars. Like,
really?
I did not know that. Like here in Texas, we have a lot of cigar bars. Probably within the past 4 to 5 years, I've seen a huge uptick in cigar bars, and they're crowded with ladies. And when you walk in there, the ladies are smoking cigars. They have accessories. They have diamond.
She likes the stick in her mouth, huh?
Whoa.
Hey, yo.
Whoa.
We talking about cigars, right?
Question.
Be
Ken,
clear.
when you see these, men, when you see these women smoking cigars, like, what's your thoughts?
I don't. You know what? Here's the thing. I have, and throughout my life, I really haven't been into women that smoke, but I think that the cigar is something a little different than a cigarette, right? For me, because for me, number one, the cigars smell totally different. There's so many variations to it. It's a little bit of, I guess you can be sexy with it. Like and smoke a cigar.
Right.
You can't be sexy and smoke a Marlboro. Like for me, it just don't hit. It just don't hit. So I didn't understand the the thing behind cigars. But like I said, when you go to these cigar bars, like there are plenty of women who smoke cigars. You go to these different spots, these different clubs, like there's women in there smoking cigars. So cigars are like huge. So I felt it necessary to have some people on that actually know what the heck they talking about.
Yeah.
So they
can tell us why ladies like the stick in their mouth.
If you don't know that, Benji, then that's a whole nother subject.
Well, okay. Y'all already know how we get started. We gotta go around and check on our people. Trisha, Michelle, how you doing today? How's your week go? How your week started out so far?
It's been good, honestly.
Yeah.
What is it? The weather that's got Benji jacked up. My daughter's got a little sniffle, little cough, but she's got
post nasal drip.
No, she doesn't have that.
Okay.
No, she's got asthma, so a lot of things like to try to just target her breathing. So we just been that's all.
Okay, Benji Banks, the man, the brand. Talk to us. We know you sick.
Man, listen, man. Aside from sounding like Glorilla right now, I'm appreciative, man. Like God be looking out for your boy. Since I was a little tot, you know what I'm saying? God be looking out for your boy.
Roll up on you like that stud. When she roll up on you like that stud did, and just she gonna Glorilla just.
What's up, little daddy?
I'm gonna be like, get him.
I mean, listen, we may have her on the show one day, so you know what I'm saying. But listen, audience, y'all gonna have to deal with me in this little.
Hold on, how we gonna have
right now?
Did you get her information? Did you get the stud's information?
No, he talking about.
She tunes in. I ain't gonna tell y'all who she is though.
Okay, because y'all audience. Let me catch you all up. If you all didn't see it or you haven't caught the stories that have been going on the past couple of episodes, there was one episode where Benji came and he told us about a young stud, a gentleman that approached him on the street and tried to achieve his phone number. She was more ruggish than bone.
Yes, and she tunes in to the show, but she's been instructed, don't be on here, parading. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm that's a smooth way to get you know what I'm saying, kicked out of brother's life. So don't be up in here.
You can't tell that. Thank you.
Yeah, he's low key interested. So
listen, that gotta be one of Patricia's friends. I'm just feeling it. So you know what I'm saying? Nah, I ain't interested in those studs.
Actually,
but see, my folks told me don't be running off the viewership. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, who told you
Pull
that?
all the folks in. But I ain't finna let y'all punk me into thinking I like studs. I'm just saying.
Whatever.
But hey, they're interesting people too, and they like to watch the show as well. So all studs out there, welcome to the show. And hopefully you can get something out of this interview that we have today. We got some great guests in the building. We got the Burn Down podcast joining us. And these gentlemen are coming with a wealth of knowledge about a certain product that I think we need to know more about and need to be more informed. So we're going to bring these gentlemen to the show. Welcome, Eric and Justin, to the Friday session.
What's going on, gentlemen? What's going on?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having
us. Here to tell us why ladies
here.
keep a stick in their mouth. That's all right.
Benji, if we can go back to the real beginning, we were talking about the Rick Ross. I think it's more like, not really. I just want to clarify that real quick. It's more like,
I told you.
There you go. We got the
barking.
You know what I'm saying? It's all right.
I was like,
yeah. It was disturbing me a little bit. I had to say it. I'm sorry.
It's all right, bro. It's all right. I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? I'm in struggle mode right now, so you know what I'm saying. But we're gonna be all right. This is why we have great guests on the show. They can help us out.
You were sounding like a little Bow Wow.
Ooh.
Not Lil Bow Wow.
You said,
well, y'all are about the same height, so maybe that's maybe there's some correlation there.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Listen, you see how I get attacked on this show, Eric and Justin. Y'all see how I get attacked on the regular. You know what I'm saying?
There's always somebody.
Yeah, they do it out of love. They do it out of love. That's it.
Lil Bow Wow is, about 5'7", something like that. 5'7",
on a
5'8".
good day.
It's all right. Listen, I'm taller than him. I'm 5'9", but that paper longer than the Ohio River, so I ain't mad at him.
All right. Well, like I said, we got some great guests on the show today. We want to jump right in because we got a lot that we want to ask because, like I said, I've been around cigars my whole life and I don't know the first thing about them other than people talk about Cuban cigars and I hear the talk, but we actually need to know like the inside, the details
Right.
of how we would go about if we went somewhere, how we would pick one, how we would pick a good one. What kind of pricing we're looking at, those type of things. What kind of liquors do we drink with it? That we got a lot of questions today. So let's start out by getting you all's background. We just want to know your background, where you're from, if you want to tell us about your education or your professional background, what you do for a living. We can start with Justin.
Sure. So, well, first off, thank you very much for having Eric and myself on your show. Cheers to you guys. I know we've been trying to schedule this for quite some time and we finally got around to do it, so we appreciate that. A little bit about myself. So my name is Justin Isaac. I'm one half of Burn Down Podcast. I'm from New York. I'm from up in the Northeast. Currently, I'm actually down in Texas, so I'm closer to Big Ken right now. I see that Dallas hat. I'm down in the outskirts of Austin right now, but I'm from New York, born and raised. I went to school in New York, went to college in New York. Just been there my whole life. I have a background in athletics, background in engineering, background in sales. That's currently what I do right now, aside from Burn Down Podcast with Eric, which is obviously the more passionate thing.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Burn Down Podcast, we have our cigar, the Blueprint, which I'm sure we'll go into, we'll talk about. Started about 3 years ago. Well, I'm sure we'll go into that story as well, but that's pretty much my background.
Okay,
Sure.
Eric.
Yeah. So born and raised on Long Island, currently living in Lower
Long
Westchester.
Island.
Yes, sir. So I'm currently living in Lower Westchester County, which is right outside the city. My background is sales. I've been in all different kinds of sales, medical, construction, technology. I'm currently I'm in insurance now. So I've been in commercial insurance broker for a little bit now. I think it's the long-term game. Obviously, the Burn Down Podcast, the Blueprint Cigar, that's our real project, our real passion that we want to eventually do full-time, but got to pay the bills somehow.
Yeah,
So,
I dig it, man.
So
Yeah, so to be honest, man, I saw you guys' content. I followed for a while, and I was like, yo, like, we got to have these guys on and to try to get this content on there. So, again, we appreciate you guys for pulling up on us. But, man, the world of cigars, man, what made you guys interested?
We apologize
Is
because
it like a common thing there, or what is it?
Yeah, I know it's funny because I was talking to Eric prior to us coming on here, and I said, man, this is so unprofessional of us. I go, they're interviewing the cigar guys, and we don't even have a cigar right now. Eric's at his hands. I'm down in Texas. I didn't have my cigars with me. It was kind of a last minute thing to come over here. Eric doesn't have his cigars with me. I said, man, this is so unprofessional. But the background of cigars, like what. I'll start with myself. Eric will tell you how he got into cigars, but I started smoking cigars through my stepfather. My stepfather loved cigars. He introduced me to cigars around 16 years old. I smoked occasionally, one here and there, not really too serious about it. And then when I went to school, the latter part of my time there, I really started falling in love with cigars. I got a humidor, and it was more like my 4th and 5th year in school. I got a little bit more into it. And then really when I came out of school and I graduated, I found a job, and probably around, 23, 24, I just fell in love. I started smoking them more. I was back home. I was smoking with my stepfather. I just fell in. They actually opened up a lounge right across the street from my office, which was a blessing and a curse because, it's great. I can get cigars whenever I want, but the curse is now I'm there every single day after after work, and I'm spending all my hard-earned cash on cigars. But it was a passion. I fell in love. I started smoking a lot, collecting. I was researching the leaves, the flavors, how you pair them, what to pair them with, and then it's just the rest has been history. And now it's been 10 years, and I've got hundreds, if not thousands, of cigars. And now we have a podcast. We have our own cigar. It's just kind of it started small and then gradually built up, and now I have way too many cigars. I don't want to admit it, but
Now I heard you say the food pairing, and that stuck because I do that with wine. It tastes better, it tastes different when you pair it with a particular type of drink or food or something like that. What would you say you guys' blueprint cigar? What does that fit the best with, in your opinion?
Eric, you want to answer that?
You want to know about food? You want to know about what you drink with it? Or all the above?
Which one? Either one. Let's say if you're smoking, you gotta
right.
have. Do you gotta have your cognac? Do you gotta have your Hennessy? What you call it, Ken?
There's two. There's two. I'll let Eric answer.
Yeah,
there's two.
I was just gonna say. So if we're talking about what you want to pair it with regarding what you drink, I personally love coffee and a cigar. So it can be a mild cigar, it can be a full-bodied cigar, and I'll drink a cup of coffee. Our cigar, the Blueprint, it's a medium to full cigar. So it's not really for the average rookie. It's more for the veteran cigar smoker. But if you are a rookie cigar smoker, you can get into it, because I give my cigar a lot to people who don't smoke often, and they say, I can smoke a cigar like this. This isn't too bad. So one, I would say with the Blueprint, you can do is with a cup of coffee, and then on the other side of the spectrum is bourbon. We're both brown liquor guys. I really don't drink vodka or anything like that. I like a nice glass of bourbon with the Blueprint, or a cup of coffee with a Blueprint. Pairs beautifully.
Okay.
Perfect. He's got his glass ready right there. He's ready to go. It goes great with this.
Okay, I will say that coffee is probably one of the best pairings with cigars, hand down. If I had to pick just one drink across the board, coffee is what it is. And there's a reason for that too. And it's because there's a saying in the industry, they say what grows together goes together. Okay. And if you look at the earth and you look at what's called the tobacco belt, which is just the center region, a belt that goes around the equator where they grow tobacco, it's pretty much the same belt as what's called the bean belt, which is the coffee region. So they say what grows together goes together, which is why coffee pairs well with cigars.
I love it. That coffee. Strong coffee just by itself, espresso.
Or it kind of depends on the cigar. If you're going with a milder cigar, you can do, coffee with cream. You can do a cappuccino, maybe light and sweet if you like light and sweet coffee. If you're doing something a little bit fuller, maybe black coffee, maybe a dark roast, maybe just an espresso. It's really up to you. It's kind of your palate, whatever you like to enjoy.
Yeah, there's really no guide. I mean, there's guidelines, but it's, again, I'm sure you'll access when you smoke cigars. It's really up to your palate and what you like. Ken might like one type of cigar. Trisha might like cigar. Doesn't mean one cigar is better. Benji might like one type of cigar. Doesn't mean either your cigars are better. Just what your palate can take and what you guys enjoy the most.
Taste for.
Right.
Okay. I had a question though. You mentioned a few things that I know our viewers might not be familiar with. I think Justin mentioned a humidor. Let's talk about what that is, because I have an idea of what it is, but I'm pretty sure our audience is like, what the heck is that? So talk to us about what a humidor is.
Yeah, a humidor is essentially the home for your cigars. It's where you keep and preserve all your cigars. As long as you maintain the humidity and the temperature in a humidor where you keep the cigars, they can last forever. And that's when you buy cigars, you need a humidor. And there's no other way of keeping them fresh, keeping them, perfectly smokable, if you will. If you buy a thing of cigars and you leave them out on your dresser, or if you just put them in a plastic bag without any kind of humidification device, they won't last too long. So a humidor is made out of cedar wood. So cedar wood is the best for moisture and the best for keeping cigars fresh. So there's all different kinds of humidification devices, whether it's distilled water or humidification packs, and essentially it's what houses your cigars.
And
Right.
I want to actually add to what Eric was saying, and the reason for having a humidor is cigars need to be kept at a certain temperature and a certain humidity. The temperature is not quite as important. It's important, but not quite as important as humidity. And the reason being is
Right.
when you're smoking a cigar, if the tobacco has to hold a certain amount of moisture for it to be smokable or
Where
enjoyable.
you get the proper pull on it, right?
Right. If it's too dry, then the cigar is not really going to smoke. It's going to burn, and it's not
Right.
going to taste right. If it's too moist, then it's not going to stay lit. It's going to be too squishy. It's going to be so damp you're not going to be able to hold the light. And having that humidor to house your cigars ensures that your cigars are kept at the proper humidity, so that when you pull one out, it's ready to be smoked. You're going to enjoy it. It's not going to go out on you. It's not going to taste like an ashtray on you. So you really need to keep your cigars in a humidor, or in worst case, like we call it a Tupperware, which is like a Tupperware humidor.
Right.
It acts the same way, but essentially
Mhm.
you're just keeping the temperature, humidity of the cigar at an optimal point.
Yeah. And you typically want it at, we say at the 70-70 rule, 70 degrees, 70%
Room temperature
humidity.
type, right?
You know,
Yeah.
the variation of the humidity can range between 65 at the least and 75 at the most. Don't really recommend that. And the temperature, it's roughly the same. You don't really want it below 65, and you don't want anything hotter than 75 degrees.
Yeah, because what happens is if you have, I mean, think about it. If you have a climate that is hot and humid, you
Right.
are subject to growing
Arizona type.
Right. Yeah. If you have stuff like if you have your cigars in this little box and the box is 90 degrees and it's 90% humidity, then you basically run the risk of just growing mold inside you have a hot and humid climate. It's
Okay.
basically like an incubator and you're just growing shit left and right. So
Right.
but when you get it down to that 70-70, that's the optimal climate where you're not going to run the risk of mold, but your cigars are not going to get dried out. If they're too dry,
Right.
then they run the risk of cracking, they run the risk of burning. So it's really that, balancing act. Some people like it a little bit on the lower end, like Eric said, 65. Some people like it on the higher end. I mean, if you're in the middle of the desert, like in Vegas, you might want to keep your cigars on the higher end because it's so dry there. So it all depends on your personal preference, but those are the reasons why you want a humidor.
So your cigar can actually grow mold.
It can. There's actually two
Absolutely.
different kinds of mold. There is a bad mold, which is when it's hot and humid. You don't want to obviously smoke that. But there's something called plume, which is a good mold. And plume is essentially the oils inside the cigar. After a certain amount of aging, the oils have come to the surface of the tobacco leaf of the cigar itself, and
Right.
they create it almost looks like a white dust on top of the cigar. It's
Okay.
it's very rare. It doesn't happen often. Usually, 99% of the time, if somebody says it's plume, it's most likely not. It's a very rare case, but what it means is that the cigar is basically perfectly
Optimal.
aged,
Yeah.
and you should smoke it right now. That's
Right.
what it means.
I
Okay.
like that. I like that. I like that. I don't like the mold part, but I like knowing that part
Yeah,
because the
it's basically like
tobacco
it's kind of
leaf. Now,
like
so
kind of
that
like
makes the
cheese.
tobacco leaf very important, then, right?
Yes, I mean think of it like cheese, right? When you get moldy cheese, like blue cheese, it's good mold.
Yeah,
Right.
You can eat it, right? But if you get
yeah,
black mold's nasty. That's the
yeah.
same thing with cigars. If you get black mold, nope, throw them out. If you get white mold, or a white dusting, it could be plume, and that's good. So
What does that do to somebody that smokes the bad mold?
you might just get
Not good for your
nauseous.
health.
It might get sick. You might have you might be on the toilet for a day or so, but
It's not good. Just put it that way. It's not
yeah,
good.
you get sick. It's not. You get like a 1 day sick, but not gonna kill you.
Okay, so I also had a question about when you mentioned, I think, medium body, full body. Like,
Mhm.
break that down for us. What does that mean? What are we describing when we say medium body, full body?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, in very layman's terms, mild is just a mild cigar. Medium bodied is somewhere between mild and medium. Look, think of it like a from 0 to 100. Mild is usually like 0 to 25, and then medium is about 25 to 50, and then full body is about 50 to 100. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Are we talking
And
like
there's like another way of
or strength of tobacco that we're talking about?
Correct. Yeah, it's the strength of the tobacco.
Yeah. So there's actually a common misconception is a lot of people confuse strength and body, right? And most of the time they're pretty lined up. Like if you have a lower strength cigar, it might be a milder body most of the time. But in some cases, you can have a mild cigar that has a full body. And what it basically means is that the body is the weight of the smoke in your mouth, whereas the strength is how strong a cigar is, how strong the flavors are, how strong the aftertaste is.
Yeah.
So you can have a cigar that's a milder body where it doesn't really have a whole lot of weight when you pull the smoke into your mouth. It's very thin and it doesn't really sit there. But the flavors could be very strong. It could sit there. You could get a lot of flavors on the back of your tongue. Most of the time, it's pretty lined up. A mild cigar is going to be lighter bodied, and a stronger cigar is going to be full bodied for the most part. But there are some cigars that it's kind of like when you think of the weight, you think of, all right, if you have a Michelob Ultra or a Bud Light, right? And you take a sip of that, very light, not, it doesn't really sit right. It's almost like drinking water. It's very light in your mouth. But then if you go and you have something like a triple IPA, or if you have something like a Merlot, or if you have something like a really strong bourbon, you can feel how like heavy and rich that flavor is. Or if you go and have like a glass of milk, like how heavy does that sit in your mouth versus a glass of water? Yeah. That's where you can really tell the difference between the body of a cigar. The flavors would obviously be go have a vodka versus go have a peated scotch. You can definitely tell the difference in the strength of those flavors.
Yeah, and that goes back to kind of what Benji was asking about pairing. You don't really want to take a mild cigar and drink a whiskey or a bourbon. I mean, you can, but if you want real optimal flavors and good pairing, that you're not going to get that. If you want to smoke a mild cigar, usually you have a light beer, a white wine, coffee, maybe a vodka, and then on the side of the spectrum is the same thing. If you have a full-bodied cigar, you probably want something more of a whiskey, something that's very strong to complement the full-bodied cigar that you're.
Because you don't really want it to overpower, right? Like if you had a really strong, full-bodied cigar and you're drinking a white wine, you're not even going to taste the wine. The cigar is just going to overpower the wine, and you're not even going to taste it. And vice versa. If you had, if you were drinking a Merlot and you're smoking like an Oliva Connecticut, which is a very mild stick, you're not really going to taste the Oliva. The Merlot is just going to be so strong, and all you're going to have is Merlot flavor. So you want to make sure you
Merlot is pretty bitter when it comes to the wine.
Right. So that cigars, you're not going to get any flavor out of it. The Merlot is just going to overpower, and all you're going to taste is Merlot.
Right. And that's where the pairing comes in at. I like that because you get the full flavor out of everything that you're sipping or you're smoking on. I like that.
Yeah, it's like it's like cookies and milk. You're not gonna have pickles and milk. You want cookies and milk because it pairs.
I don't know, man. Folks weird nowadays, man.
Somebody somewhere might be doing pickles and milk.
Yeah, probably something like TikTok.
You never know. I mean, have you seen what the kids are doing nowadays? I mean,
exactly.
I mean, they're eating.
Yeah, they're a little on the weird side nowadays, man. Folks will put anything together.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, so how did you all get started with your podcast? Because I've heard that you all have been into the podcast world for a pretty good while now. So talk to us about how that got started and how long ago you've been in the podcast world.
We've been doing the podcast, Justin and I, for a little over 3.5 years now. And before that, Justin and I met through my father. My father is an electrical engineer as well, and he would recruit people to work for him and work on his team. And one day he found Justin, collegiate basketball player, engineer, smart kid, likes to drink beer and smoke cigars. And that's the type of guy my dad likes to hang out with. So let's give this guy a shot. So one day he likes to invite people. We have barbecues and stuff at my parents' house. way back when, and he likes to invite the people over that he works with. So one day, this kid in a freaking 3-piece suit comes over in like June, and I'm like, who is this kid and why is he dressed to the nines at a family barbecue right now? I'm like, what is going on? So I kind of admired it, because I love dressing up. I love the suit. So low key, I was kind of jealous, but we started getting the chit chat and we started talking, getting to know each other and just having a lot of similarities. And then we kind of just find out that we have this love for cigars. And then over the years, we would hang out, we'd meet each other, go to the lounge. And then we both had these Instagrams of just taking pictures of cigars. And we had a little bit of a following. So we tried. I went to Justin. I said, "Hey, man, social media, cigars, this, stuff will probably evaporate one day. Let's try to capitalize on something that we can do to make it a little more long lasting." So we had a couple ideas. Our first idea was to do a cigar subscription service. And if you're in New York, as you know, there's a lot of taxes, a lot of no-nos that you can do in this state. So trying to start a tobacco company had a lot of red tape on it. So we kind of X'd that off after about 3 months or so putting that together. And then we wanted to compete with Cigar Aficionado magazine. We look at the magazine, it's this thick, and half of it's all advertisements. And we said, hey, we take all these pictures, we talk about these cigars, let's make a magazine and let's just put straight content in there. And then we were kind of like, well, who are we kidding? This is the 21st century. No one reads magazines anymore. And then we kind of just took a hiatus on doing anything. And then one day, I have 2 little brothers who are 2 and 8 years younger than me, and they would just watch podcasts all day, watch all these comedians, Joe Rogan, Joey Diaz, Tom Segura, all these guys. And they're just, I'm like, this is what you guys do? And they're like, yeah, I watch them at work, I listen to them in the car, and I'm like, they're just sitting in a room and they're just talking. And this is really before podcasts were like the thing.
Became the thing, right?
And I know Justin had a little bit of video background because he had a little bit of a fitness channel. So I said, hey man, what do you think about doing a video podcast? And we'll make it like being in a cigar lounge. And he's like,
right,
say less. I'm in. You don't got to convince me to do anything. So we started the Burn Down podcast, and it's just about bringing people together over cigars and all different kinds of walks of life. Because if you guys have ever been in a cigar lounge, doesn't matter if you're black, white, yellow, red, blue collar, white collar, Christian, Jew, whatever. When you're in a cigar lounge, everyone's there for one reason. That's a cigar. And 99% of the time, it's a good base of people that just want to enjoy their cigar. If they want to talk to the person left or right of them, they want to get to know each other. There's easy conversations. You can have mud on your boots. You can be in a 3-piece suit, and you guys can connect. So we wanted to bring that to a podcast platform. And you've interviewed, professional athletes.
Yeah, I seen, man. I saw one episode you guys had Ed Reed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ed Reed's a really great guy. So we've interviewed from people from, like I said, professional athletes, we had Ruben Studdard on from American Idol, mobsters, cigar makers, anybody, comedians, and they all like to smoke cigars. So we're trying to put out there that cigars doesn't have this negative stigma. It's about bringing people together. It doesn't matter if you're a female or a male, you can smoke a cigar and have a good time.
Now, how common did you find it once you guys kind of got into it? How common did you find out that, wow, a lot of people smoke cigars and just kind of, be like, yeah, okay, this is it.
Yeah, that's the power of social media. Because when Justin had a Dapper Cigar on his Instagram, his thing was all about suited and smoking cigars. And then I said, you know what? I want to start an Instagram too, just because I like the way you look cool in pictures with cigars.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, just these followers all over the world, they're just talking about you and talking about cigars. And I'm like, shit, a lot more people than I thought smoke cigars. There's a huge community around it. Doesn't get any publicity because it's a cigar, it's smoking.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of it's wild how, like Eric said, we started a little over 3 years ago. I think July was 3 years, and it's wild how many people we've been able to reach from all the different corners of the earth. We've got listeners that are in China. We have listeners that are in Australia, listeners that are in South Africa, listeners down in South America, in Europe. All over. We got people sending us messages like, hey, I listened to you while I, blah, 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 I'm doing this, doing that, watching this or watching that, or I'm working here, And then I go, Eric and I are just like, cool. We're just 2 guys in New York that started to have a podcast, and he's like, oh, we love you guys. We're watching you from Indonesia. And But the power of, like Eric said, the power of social media is it's a blessing and a curse depending on how you use it. Right? If you're sitting there all day long just scrolling, wasting time, not creating content, not connecting with people, just kind of just mind
doing whatever,
numbing,
right?
yeah, consuming, it could be a curse. But if you use it properly, you can reach anybody and everybody all across the world through a device that's in the palm of your hands. So fortunately, we've been able to reach out to all these different athletes and all these different influencers and, you know, real estate moguls or singers or ex-Navy SEALs. I mean, Harlem Globetrotters. We've had all these people on here,
Wow.
and it's all from they like cigars, we like cigars. Hey, let's have a conversation. Let's hear your story. Where are you
And
from?
we've had,
Just like you got,
quite a
yeah,
few females on there too as well. I think probably close to 10 female guests that enjoy cigars.
Right.
and it's kind of like just just like you guys, Big Ken, when you came in the beginning, you said, all right, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What do you, what's your background? That's exactly how we start the conversation with our guests. Is, hey, listen, let's light up a cigar. Let's pour ourselves a drink. Tell us about yourself. Tell us your story. How did
Right.
How did you become Ruben Studdard? How did you become John Starks or Ed Reed or Ray Cashcare, the Navy SEAL? Like, how did you become that? Tell us about
Right.
that. And it's all over a cigar. You like cigars, we like cigars. And then we start going into, hey, what's your first cigar that you had? You remember your first cigar? How'd you get into cigars? What do you like about cigars? And the conversation just is endless.
It's endless, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, on your podcast, what would you say was like the interview you was like, yo, like this one was pretty sick? What would you say your dopest interview was that you guys just enjoyed? It was like, yo, I was expecting it to be this, but it became even better. What would you say if you can recall the memory?
I mean, I got two that come right to mind. So one was an emotion of like I was fired up. I was ready to run through a wall after we were done. And the other one was kind of like, wow, I just interviewed, someone that I know I don't look up to, but has a tremendously interesting story. And
Right.
that I follow a lot of that background. And that first person was Ed Reed.
Right.
I mean, Ed Reed followed me on Instagram a couple of years ago, and I thought it was like a fake account. And this is when we first started the podcast. And he's like, yeah, man, I love cigars. I like what you post, this and that. So I was like, Justin, we can't be too much of a fanboy. You'd be like, hey, come on our podcast right now. I gotta get a little bit of street cred. So, we had some guests like Ruben Studdard and John Starks. And I said, you know what? We got a couple guys now. Let's try and get them on. So he's like, yeah, let's make it happen. Let's do it. And I remember and it was a snowstorm in New York. It was like, I was in my office. Everyone's like, go home early. It's a blizzard out. And I told my wife, I said, listen, I might sleep at Justin's because I'm not missing this interview with Ed Reed because I don't know if I'll ever get this opportunity again.
Right.
Yo. So I remember when as soon as Justin and I finished, I was like, let's fucking go. I was ready to run through a wall.
I remember
it was crazy.
That interview. I remember he said one thing that I couldn't believe that he said it, but as soon as he comes on, we're just shooting the shit for a little bit before we hit record. And he's like, oh man, thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm huge fans of you guys. I've been watching you guys for a long time. Like, I love you guys. I'm a big fan. I'm sitting there in my head. I'm like, this is Ed fucking Reed. I've watched him on TV, and now he says he's a fan of me. I go, this can't be real. Like, this cannot be real. After the interview, I went to Eric. I'm like, what just happened? Like, did that really just happen?
To those of you who don't know, we talked about the University of Miami, Ed Reed, Ravens, Ed Reed. That was dope, man. That was dope.
For people that are not football fans, arguably the best safety to ever play the game.
Yes.
Okay, we're talking like unanimous Hall of Famer. We're talking about a guy who accepted his Hall of Fame award smoking a cigar. That's like this guy was legendary.
Yeah. And the other guest for me was a man by name Billy Cotolo Jr. So he was an ex-mobster. His father was the underboss for the Colombo crime family back in the 90s, got murdered and buried out in Long Island. And that was one of the reasons why I got into cigars, because I love what cigars resembled: business, entrepreneurship, success. I like guys in, you know, the mafia guys, because they were all suited and booted and they were smoking cigars, and I just like that look. And it always intrigued me on how they operated for so long and were so successful, and just that whole mindset was bizarre to me.
Right.
But he came on the podcast again because he was a fan of us, and I'm like, I remember him following me on Instagram. We're talking, and I just thought it was this Italian guy down in Florida smoking cigars.
Right.
I'm like, who is this guy? He's always leaving comments, and then, you know, if you read in his bio, it said like MTV, Families of the Mafia, this and that. And I was like, oh man, I'm all right. This guy's legit. So I go to Justin. I'm like, you know, how do you ask a guy like in the mob at one point, like, hey, come be in my pod? Like, what do you talk about? Like, what do you talk? You know, like how many bodies you got? Like, I don't know how it goes.
Thank God for cigars, because it allows you to kind of drift away from all of the extra stuff. Right?
100%, man. And he actually commented on one of our videos and said, hey, I want to be the next guest. And I was like, all right, that takes a little stress off of me. So I said, well, let's get you on. And I remember a few weeks before we had him on, he called me. You know, he's in Arizona, so he called me. We talked for like 45 minutes. And he was like, listen, I'm an open book. You can ask me anything, but just don't be like, you know, how many people you killed. And I'm like, all right, that's fair enough. Like, that's something I wouldn't probably ask, but you just put it out there, so make sure not to ask.
How many bodies you got, bro?
Yeah. You know, that's a hard question.
Yeah, that's the question. It's the question that you don't even want to know the answer to, let alone, you know.
Right. It's like
we're just gonna skip over that part.
Right.
Yeah. And I just remember, you know, interviewing him and being like, man, this is, you know, I know so much history about this stuff, so I can talk to him kind of like educated on the mafia, because I know all the people that he's been around and this and that. And it was a little personal thing for me to have someone like that on my podcast.
Yeah, man, I can imagine those were dope interviews, man. Yeah, when I saw the Ed Reed one, I was like, okay, yeah, man, like I love this one. And love you guys' content, by the way. Glad to put that out there and let you know. So, but man, yeah, I dig that, man. You guys are doing an amazing job. So I can see why they follow you guys and check you guys out.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yep. And we got a couple of questions from the audience. Like, this is a great question. I mean, it's basic, but it's a great question, because this is you know how us beginners think.
Right.
Look, he said, like, what's the proper way to smoke cigars? Like, what's
because you know some folks are just used to Philly blunts. You know what I'm saying? Splitting them down the middle and filling them.
Or,
you know what I'm saying? They're not used to this type of stuff. So
they're used to what?
Listen, my first cigar was freaking Black and Mild. So
right, there we go.
How did that ever become a thing? I mean, I'm sure we'll get to that point, but
just being young and stupid. But Justin, you go ahead.
Okay.
You answer that.
No, I apologize. I'm trying to hook up a charger here because my phone is dying. But proper way to, and of course I got a train that's coming through, so hopefully you guys don't hear that. But, so the proper way to smoke a cigar. Well, I can say that the analogy I give everybody is, because you're not supposed to inhale. You don't inhale cigars. You're supposed to pull the smoke into your mouth. You let it sit a little bit. You blow it out, and then you kind of lick your lips to get the flavors of the cigar. So the easiest way to do that is to pretend like you're drinking water through a straw. So when you drink water through a straw, you just pull the water into your mouth and then you swallow, right? With a cigar, you pull the smoke into your mouth, just don't swallow. So I say pretend like you're drinking through a straw. When you're drinking anything, if you're not, it doesn't go right into your stomach, it goes into your mouth first. So I would say the proper way. Say that again.
It's kind of like the way I smoke hookah, because I don't inhale it. I just
get the flavor. So exactly. So you just pull it into your mouth, you let it sit, and you blow it out. So the whole process, I would say, is when you cut a cigar, you have to make sure you don't cut too much, right? Because this is all about the whole process of smoking a cigar. When you cut a cigar, you just want to cut what's known as the shoulder. There's a little line on the top of the cigar that is the cap. That's what they put on top of the cigar, which after they finish rolling it, they put this cap so that it doesn't unravel. So just cut a little bit off the top. You don't want to cut too much, otherwise it's going to unravel on you. So you cut a little bit off. Then when you light it, you don't want to just put it in your mouth and just light it. you have to toast it. So you take your lighter or your match. Don't use a Bic lighter. Use a torch lighter or use a match. You toast the foot of the cigar, which is the not the part that you're smoking. You toast it a little bit. You kind of warm up the ash, the tobacco, and then when it's nice and hot, then you can put the cigar in your mouth and finish off the lighting. And then, like I said, when you're smoking the cigar, you puff every maybe 2 to 3 times a minute is the rate. If you puff too fast, the cigar is going to get too hot. You're not going to get the flavors. If you puff too slow, which really doesn't happen, but if you do puff too slow, the cigar could go out. So I know that's a very long answer to a simple question, but there's a lot that goes into just you don't just put the cigar in your mouth, light it up, and then rip it back. It's you're supposed to take your time with it. Treat it gentle. Be patient with it. Enjoy the smoke. It's not like you're going out ripping a freaking bogey and then going back in. Okay, spend some time with it.
Taste it.
I liken it to sipping wine. You're not supposed to just take it and gulp. You're supposed to take it, enjoy it a little bit, twist it, taste it, get it in your mouth, and then you got to be gentle with it. So I like that. I like that.
No, that answer was perfect because it broke it down to me. Because like I said, again, I'm not a smoker at all. I've never smoked anything a day in my life. So that gives me a kind of literal depiction of what the process is. And for anybody out there that's interested in that, now you know how to properly do it. And now you can go into the cigar lounge and look cool.
I feel like I got this. I have to do it. Like I'm gonna be like,
gotta go try it now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just used to splitting, the blunt down the middle, you know what I'm saying, and filling it with some stickiest of the ickiest and, just proceeding as such. So,
Okay, so we also had another question from Love Lanice, and she's saying, are there any certain cigars that burn faster than others?
It's a good question. Yeah. So I mean, if you're smoking like the little cigarellos or little Al Capones that come in a little tin can, those are obviously going to be a lot faster smoking cigar. If you're smoking a cigar, which the shape is called a Churchill, which is about 7 inches long, obviously it's going to take a lot longer. But usually a premium cigar, it's going to last you a minimum of 45 minutes. So like I said, if you're unless you're smoking one of those little cigarellos, something that comes out of a tin can, like back in the day, like Clint Eastwood or something like that, that's really those are really fast cigars that you're going to really smoke. Everything else is usually, like Justin said, you're going to be able to take your time with.
Right.
And see,
now, how long does when you're smoking that cigar, you said, at once it's 45 minutes. How long can a cigar last you per se? If you're just a casual smoker, taking spending a little time a day on a cigar, how long should a cigar last once you light it?
I mean, I've had a cigar last as long as like 2 hours, but that's because I was just taking my time with the cigar. I was talking to everybody. I was focused on the cigar, but I was more engaged in the conversation. And, it took almost 2 hours. It just really depends on how much time you have, the environment you're in, and what you're looking to do. If you want a short time to smoke, you want to smoke something for 45 minutes, that's what you'll do. You'll take the amount of puffs to get to that 45-minute mark. But if you got nowhere to be, you can sit back for hours and smoke one cigar.
Now, when
you like that conversation,
it's like a lot of time in between, you have to like properly restore it back with like making sure the humidity is good and the temperature and all that in between. So you only smoke half, but you're not going to probably touch it till next week.
No, I'll tell you, you never want to smoke a half a cigar and then put it back in your humidor. That's just
got it. See,
it's terrible for your humidor. It's just going to stink up everything. It's going to ruin all the cigars. If you only smoke half the cigar, like we say, just let the soldier die in the ashtray and just move on to the next one.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's good information because I like I said, I didn't know anything about that, and I was going to also bring up, like for me growing up, along with my uncles that smoked cigars a lot. When we look at somebody like Michael Jordan, you look at Michael Jordan's greatest achievements and greatest moments, he seemed to always have,
Like a
have
cigar.
and you're talking about, you know, at one point in time and still today considered the greatest basketball player of all time. And he has this tremendous work ethic, but he's smoking cigars.
Yeah.
So it seems kind of counterproductive, the fact that he works out and does all these amazing things, but he's able to smoke cigars. But now that you talk about the process of smoking a cigar and how you actually are not inhaling it, now it makes more sense to think about, okay, even if he's smoking a cigar, he's probably not receiving the smoke in his lungs and things of that nature that somebody that's smoking a cigarette would get.
Right.
I'll tell you this. I know Justin's going to give you the facts about the articles that we have about cigar smoking and your health, because I know he's at wit's end to talk about it.
Right.
But before he says that, you know, like you were saying, Ken, cigar has 2 ingredients: has vegetable glue and has tobacco. That's all it is. There's no cigarette, like cigarettes has thousands upon thousands of chemicals, and you're inhaling that. With a cigar, like we said, you just keep it in your mouth and you blow it out. You're never inhaling the cigar. And it goes to show why there's so many athletes and successful people, and they're always smoking cigars. Why do you always see Cam Newton smoking a cigar? Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, Rocky, Sylvester Stallone, all these guys who chiseled and jacked, and they look good and they have good health. You know, Steve Harvey says cigars are yoga because that's his way of peace. You know, I guess, like I was saying earlier, cigars have this very negative stigma, or at least they used to. And it's completely different. So when people are like, oh, it's like you're smoking a cigarette, you know, cigarettes will be smoked because you're stressed out. You know, you're sucking that bad boy down because you want to get on to the next thing. And when you're smoking a cigar, you want to just be chilling like a villain with no problems. You want to be thinking about your goals. You want to be conversation with the people around you. You want to be thinking about your next step, or just you don't want to be thinking at all. You just want to be chilling, smoking a cigar. So there's so many different factors when it comes between cigarettes and cigars.
Right. So I have to tell a story about so
cigars are yoga. I like that though.
Yeah.
Steve Harvey.
I gotta tell a story because Michael Jordan, there's a very famous story that I find probably this solidifies him as one of as the GOAT is. So he walked in, I don't remember the exact game, and I don't remember it was during a playoff series, and
Houston Rockets, I think it was. I think I know where you're going.
Okay, so you know, so he walks in to the opposing team's locker room with a lit cigar, and he walks in.
Who's guarding me tonight?
And he says, "Who's checking me tonight?" And everybody on the other team looks around, and then they all look. I forgot who it was, but they look at the guy, and they point at him. And Jordan has a cigar in his mouth. He goes,
Atlanta Hawks. It was the Atlanta Hawks
game?
Yes.
Okay, I forgot who it was that was guarding him, but Jordan. They all look at the guy who's guarding Jordan, and Jordan notices. And he looks at him. He takes a puff of his cigar. He goes, 50, and walks out. 50. and he drops 50 on this kid.
Yeah.
Who does that? Who lights up? First off, he's smoking a cigar before the game, which, like Eric had said, we have all these athletes and these Arnold Schwarzenegger, arguably the greatest body to ever be created. All these guys smoke cigars. And so now you got the GOAT walks in before a game to another team's locker room with a lit cigar. First off, saying like, I don't really give a shit about you guys. I'm just going to do me. But you got this guy guarding me. Oh, that's 50, and walks out.
Right.
Come on.
Hey man, that's epic right there.
Right.
I'm giving you 50, but let me smoke on this cigar real quick. Let me let you know what's up.
That's crazy.
Okay, so we have another question from Miss Love Lanice.
Love Lanice gonna get her a cigar.
She ready to have a cigar. Go on and get you a cigar, Lanice. Go and get you a cigar.
She asked, do you dip your cigars in your drink?
What?
I think I've seen that somewhere, like either TV or whatever, and it's probably like I don't know if it's like a thing or not or whatever, but I think I know where she's asking this from.
Huh, okay. Well, we're about to find out right now. Do you dip your cigar in a drink? I'd say no, but let's hear the guys.
And we personally don't. I know that.
Yeah.
Justin.
So I'll tell you this. There is. Okay, so the short answer is no. You do not dip your cigar into your drink. cigars are meant to be. There's a saying that somebody said they're supposed to be enjoyed together, but not together. If that makes sense, you're supposed to pair them, right? In smoke your cigar, sip your drink, and you're supposed to enjoy them that way, but you don't combine them into one. However, it's your cigar. You can do whatever the fuck you want with it. Am I allowed to curse on? Am I allowed to curse on here? Okay.
No, because I
do it though. Like, is that
people
like a
do?
thing?
Yes, people do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like,
like I
that's
said,
why I've seen it.
I mean,
it's
if
your
you go,
cigar.
if you can
You can do
YouTube,
whatever you want.
there's a video of Arnold Schwarzenegger, how he says he went to a restaurant one time and a guy was wiping his cigar with a cedar strip and tequila, and he was rolling it, and he was doing this, and you know, it's in my personal opinion, it's silly.
Okay.
But
so another thing I
sip
wanted
your drink, take a puff.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to ask about was you guys have your own cigar. So that leads me to believe that you spent time actually maybe rolling cigars, putting them together, like from the two components that you said. So can you talk to us about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, Eric, do you want to take this one? You want me to go? All right. So I'll start it and then Eric can finish it. So yes, it's actually funny because when Eric was talking about how we started the podcast, we were going to do a subscription service and realized, oh, maybe we don't want to go into like making our own tobacco thing, but now we have our own cigar. But so it started a few years ago. We were approached with the idea to have our own cigar, and Eric and I both wanted our own cigar. We just didn't know how quickly it was going to come to fruition. We had the idea of maybe making one, 4 or 5 years into the podcast, not a year and a half into the podcast. That being said, so we made the cigar. It took 2 years of blending to make it because we had something very specific in mind. We had a manufacturer come to us, say, hey, we want you to make a cigar. I want to make a cigar with you. Are you interested? Eric and I said, absolutely. But we wanted to make sure that if we put our name on something, it needs to be a home run. We need to feel that it's an A+, because if I come up to you and I give you a cigar and say, hey, try this cigar, it's a B+. If I think it's a B+ and I made it, then how can I expect you to think it's anything more? So we decided, all right, we need to make this perfect. So we had iteration after iteration after iteration of blending, tasting it, reblending it, tasting it, reblending it, tasting it. And I think there was like 15 different iterations of the cigar until we got it perfect. And then that's what became known as the blueprint. And I'll let Eric talk to you about how we came up with that idea and how we came up with the labeling and how we're promoting it now and how well we're doing with it. I'll let Eric take it from here.
Yeah, I mean, so we came up with the name of the blueprint. Essentially, is our vision was we wanted to make more than one cigar. So me having a marketing background, I'm always about the visuals and how people perceive things and look at things. So I said, how cool would it be if we had a 3-pack of our cigars and it resembles the Burn Down podcast? So we came up with the Burn Down podcast from just the initials. Again, I see how things look and how things sound. I said BDP sounds pretty cool. I can hear people saying BDP, Boogie Down Productions.
The crew is called BDP, Boogie Down Productions, man.
That's already a thing. So, and we got the Burn Down podcast because I was Brother Cigar on Instagram. He was a Dapper Cigar on Instagram, and he was a podcast. So I said, let's kind of keep that same rhythm with the cigar. So we said, all right, well, we got to start thinking names with B. And at the time, we were just bouncing names around, and we just said, what about the blueprint? Like, everything that we've done so far is the blueprint of getting your own cigar. And no credit to Jay-Z, but that's where we got it from. And we just like the idea of, because every brand has to have a story. People like the story, the background. So, we have on our label, and it has a little schematic, and it's just resembling, what we've done for the last 3.5 years to getting your own cigar, the blood, sweat, and tears. And we made 5,000 cigars, 250 boxes, and we're almost out. We got to start production again. And it's only been out since June. And it kind of goes back to that same conversation what Justin was saying, how it's really cool that people listen to us all over the world. Now we're getting that, plus people are taking pictures all over the world of us smoking our cigar. And it's really cool to see people enjoying it, a lot of good feedback. And it's just been a super crazy, adventure so far.
I can imagine that's pretty dope though, man, because you guys got pretty excited about when it finally came to fruition. You said you guys waited 2 years, correct? So getting the blending right. What is it? I know we kind of looked at the type of cigars. What type of cigar is your guys? Is it full body? Is it medium body? What type is it?
Yeah, so it's a medium to full. It's not quite all the way on the full side, but it's definitely not medium. So sometimes I say medium plus or medium to full. It's actually a blend of 5 different tobacco from 5 different countries. So our wrapper is a Mexican San Andreas wrapper, which is a very well-known wrapper in the cigar industry. Our binder, which is what holds. So I'll take a step back. So we have a cigar is made with filler tobacco, which is what's on the inside. Then they put a binder, which is what holds that tobacco together, which makes it take its shape.
Right.
And then they put a wrapper around that, which is what your lips actually touch. So the wrapper on our cigar is a Mexican San Andreas, very well-known wrapper. The binder is an Ecuadorian Sumatra, so that's your second country. And then our filler is a blend of Nicaraguan, United States, or more specifically Pennsylvania, and Dominican. So that gives you your 5 different countries.
Right.
And so the flavors are you get some pepper, you get some coffee in there, you get some dark chocolate. The coffee I'll probably put more of like an espresso. It's more on the darker side.
Right.
There is some leather in there. You get some leather body, some woodiness. It's a very, very pleasurable stick. Like I said, we wouldn't put our names on it if we didn't think it was an A+.
Right.
Great size, lasts you about an hour and a half, depending on how fast you smoke. And I did actually see somebody drop the comment of where they can get the cigar. You can actually just head to our website, burndownpodcast.com. And then right on the homepage, you'll see the cigar, and it's all the information's right there.
For sure. We definitely gonna have to get that information out to the people. Follow that so you can go get your blueprint cigars, folks. You got to get it. I got to get mine. We got to get ours. So we're gonna make sure that happens.
For sure.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Well, you guys are gonna have to give us your address, because we're gonna send you guys some cigars on the house for having us on here, of course.
Most definitely.
Sure.
Definitely. Got to do the same. Got to do the same for you guys. Get some drink to you guys.
I'm gonna act like I've been doing it.
See,
watch me use the video.
You gonna know how to act professional from this interview. You gonna know how to smoke a cigar.
I'm gonna make a reel and everything. Like, it's gonna be great.
Yo, so I got another question too. I know the biggest thing for me growing up and throughout my life has been hearing about the mystique of everybody achieving a Cuban cigar. How do you get them into the United States? Everybody's Cuban cigar. So talk to me about like what the whole stigma of Cuban cigar is. Why is that such a highly touted thing?
Well, for a long time, cigars were strictly made in Cuba, and then once it became illegal from President JFK, John F. Kennedy,
which is a funny story, by the way.
Which is a very funny story. Before he signed the letter or signed it to saying no more the Cuban embargo, he ordered about 10,000 Cuban cigars for himself. But it was just the stigma of it's hard to get, so people want it. And the movies and the music, everywhere in the media, everyone talks about a Cuban cigar. So in retrospect, people just want what they can't have or want what the people on TV are having. Because today, in my opinion, Cubans I don't really smoke that many Cubans. And, half the time I do, they aren't even that enjoyable. I like the cigars from the Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, Honduras, where most of the non-Cuban cigars are made today. And it's just that stigma of, it's hard to get. So that's what they wanted from Cuba.
And it's interesting because Eric and I always say that Cuba is just like any other country in the fact that they're gonna have good cigars and they're gonna have bad cigars, and it's all subjective. If Cuban cigars have a very distinct flavor, they're very dirty, if you will. They taste a lot like earth, and they're very mineral flavors. They're very dirty. But if you enjoy that, then great, smoke Cubans. But for some people that like a lot of pepper and leather in their cigar, they're not going to like Cubans because it doesn't have that flavor. So it's just like any other region. Nicaragua, Dominican, Honduran, Brazilian, Peru, United States, all these different regions, you're going to have good cigars, you're going to have bad cigars. It's all subjective. It's whatever fits your palate.
That makes, it makes me think about perfume and colognes, because all the different hidden notes of like these different, scents in there. But like everyone loves all women love Marc Jacobs Daisy, and I hate it. I hate the floral rose, so it wouldn't matter no matter what. I don't care.
Right.
I don't like it.
Doesn't matter how much it is. Doesn't matter how exclusive or hard to get it is. I don't like it, so I'm not going to get it.
Makes sense. Okay, so let me ask you guys this. What are the top 3 cigars that you guys have tried that you were like, yo, like, this is good stuff right here? I got to hear what you guys' preferences are and get you guys' palate. I know you love yours, but what are your top 3 cigars? What are they made of? Where do they come from? Like, talk to us about that.
Oh boy,
that is tough. That is tough.
Gotta single you out, right?
Yeah, I don't really have favorite cigars, if that makes sense. I don't really go out and reach out for particular cigars. There's cigars that I love and that I enjoy that I'll grab a couple of them, but I really can't. And I have some in my head that I can just name off. But to be completely honest, there's no like real favorite cigar. I like stuff like the Liga Privada No. 9, the Oliva CRV Milanio. What do we have? There's what do we have here? The Arturo Fuente Don Carlos, the Padron 1926 series. These are all good cigars, and there's so many good cigars. It's really hard to like pick your favorite ones. Other people have favorite cigars. I personally just don't. It's like picking a favorite child, I guess.
Right. Just
it's
like
a very
the moment. I gotta have me a cigar. I'm going to get it.
So there's good cigars and bad.
Yeah, and it depends on what you're drinking or what you're eating in that moment, right? Like if I'm sitting there on a Sunday morning and I'm having a cup of coffee, I'm not going to go and get a Padron. Padron is a fantastic stick, but they're Nicaraguan puros. Puro meaning that the wrapper, the binder, the filler, everything in the cigar is from Nicaragua.
Right.
But Nicaragua tends to be very pepper forward. They're spicy, they're heavy, they're pepper. Not going to smoke that with a cup of coffee on a Sunday morning. So it kind of, but on the other side, if I just had a steak dinner and I'm drinking Cabernet, I'm not going to go and get, let's say, like an Oliva Connecticut or a Blind Man's Bluff, because it's not. Those are more on the mild to medium side, and I just had a steak with Cabernet. I want something that's full, something that's going to be spicy, something that's going to be leather, some heavy notes, because that's what's going to pair well with what I just had. So it's very difficult to answer the question of what's your favorite, but like Eric had said, is there's a few brand names that we could rattle off that are good. Like I said, Padron is always going to be a good stick. Davidoff made a stick called the Chef's Edition, which they've come out with a couple different over the years, but that one was very, very good. We actually recently just had somebody on our podcast, Robert Caldwell, who owns Caldwell.
I saw that interview as well.
Yes, and he has one called the Blind Man's Bluff, which I just touched on earlier. Fantastic. It's more of like a medium, right in the middle of the road. Fantastic smoke. Not going to break your bank. It's probably in New York, maybe $12 to $13. Everywhere else, it might be $8 to $9 because New York's got a crazy tax. That's a fantastic cigar. Our cigar is a fantastic cigar. I had one that I was saving for my wedding night. That was phenomenal. It also cost $200, but it was phenomenal. It was an Opus
Right.
X BBMF, which stands for Big Bad Motherfucker. And
Okay.
it was by a company called Arturo Fuente. Very, like, you can't miss. If you are looking at all the cigars on the shelf, this one you can't miss. It's such a unique cigar, if you can even find it on the shelf. But I had one and I was holding on to it. That was a very, very good stick. But it kind of it all depends. And like I said, I just mentioned sticks that were $8. I mentioned sticks that were $200. So it doesn't matter what the price is. Sometimes a cigar is the cigar that you're currently smoking is the best cigar.
Yeah.
So we giving out cigars for the wedding. It's like you guys, I know you guys handing out your signature cigar, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we had 4 boxes and they were gone before dessert.
Right. I love that, man. I love it.
Yeah, well, like I said, this is definitely going to be a first for me because I've never smoked anything, but now that I know that I don't actually have to inhale, a cigar, and I know the proper.
Ken gonna get his puff on while he having Achilles.
I'll tell you one
his
thing,
Achilles injury.
Ken, I'll tell you one thing. Inhale a cigar one time and you will never inhale it again. Okay.
Yeah, I made that mistake as a youngin. That's why I've never really tried it after that.
I mean, granted,
now there's stories of people.
Smoke,
there's stories of people. We talked to a few cigar makers, and their fathers took their son, said, "Hey, enjoy a cigar, inhale it." They inhaled it, and they were like, "Dad, why would you do that?" And they're like, "No, well, now you know what not to do with cigars. Never inhale a cigar. Not learn about cigars." So it's usually like a learning lesson from what I've heard a lot of times.
Yeah, you'll do it by accident. You'll be smoking a cigar and somebody will tell you something, you start laughing and you inhale it, like, and then you're hacking along for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
that them flavors hit a little different.
Yeah.
Going down
clear
to
out
your
lungs. This is real.
Like I was saying earlier,
you said you got a little sinus pressure up here. Go smoke a cigar and inhale it. You'll clear that shit right out.
Right out. I'm gonna go get me a cigar now. I don't want to sound like Glorilla.
You'll be good by tomorrow. You'll be good by tomorrow.
Okay, so I want to ask a question too. We usually ask this of all our guests. So how did the pandemic affect you all? Did it help? Did you have to make a lot of adjustments? Did you flourish during the pandemic? Like, what did your pandemic experience look like?
Yeah, I mean, our mindset was, listen, we got to come out better because we can just sit back and just be a chump and just not do anything. So we said we got to become better at the end of this. And our biggest thing was we actually interviewed a lot more people than what we were used to. And our whole mindset behind it was, listen, we talked to all these people on social media. They have all these large follower accounts. Let's start getting these people on the podcast so people who follow on social media can actually figure out and talk to these people and see what they're all about. And I think we had like almost 10 straight episodes of just different guests on via Zoom. I was in my backyard and Justin was in the studio, and we're just interviewing all different kinds of guests. And that's what really kind of kept us on the track of trying to find more and more new people. And it affected us in the way where we couldn't be together because we tried adjusting and we didn't know how to like really engage with each other when we're not together. And we tried to do one where we created Instagram burner accounts. This is before like Zoom blew up. We made these Instagram burner accounts. We went live and we screen recorded and we were like, oh, let's make an episode. And it was just like dog shit. And we're like, we got to figure out something else. And so it was a blessing for the Burn Down podcast for sure.
Sure.
Okay. Justin, you have any input on that?
No, I was actually that's exactly what I was going to say, is that it allowed us to start interviewing more people. But like Eric said, there's in that environment when it was such an unprecedented time where people had no idea, what was going on. Eric and I said, listen, we can either use this time and do nothing and just sit around wasting it, or we can use this time to get better and to come out on the other side of this, because eventually we're going to come out. We can either be better or in the same position that we're in right now. So we put our heads together and said, all right, what can we do? And if we can't be together, what can we can do interviews or Zoom sessions. Like Eric said, we had the Instagram burner accounts. We just tried to figure something out, and ultimately it led to more interviews.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Cool.
That the pandemic kind of opened up the door for podcasting a lot more, especially with people.
Yeah. So
because that's what we figured too. We said, listen, everybody's going to be home, and what are they going to be doing? They're on their phones because they're trying to pass the time. So Eric and I are like, well, shit, how can we reach more people? Let's get on Instagram. Let's start reaching out. Let's start interviewing. Let's, build the website some more. Let's do this. Let's do that. We just figured now's the time, since everybody's going to be home consuming content. Let's just try to push a lot of content out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get out of here, we just want to give you the opportunity to leave the audience with, some parting words, some words of wisdom, or some advice. We got a lot of people who want to get involved in, the cigar industry, or who are probably just now getting involved. I have some people that I know are watching today that are newbies to, getting their own brands or getting their own stick out there. So leave them with any advice you can leave them with, and also let us know where we can find you on social media. Justin.
Sure. So I'll give this piece of advice for two things. One, for starting your own brand and trying to build something. It's very cliche advice, but it's, don't get too caught up in worrying about what other people are going to think about your brand, or worrying about, am I going to make it, or worrying about what obstacle am I going to, just do it. Especially if in our podcast world, is just turn the phone on, hit record. You're gonna suck. It's gonna suck the first episode. If you look back at our episode, it was effing horrible. You're gonna suck. Just learn how to suck. That's all I can say. And then
embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck, because it's gonna happen. Everybody who did anything, Michael Jordan sucked at basketball when he first started.
Yes.
You gotta just do it. Just put it out there. If it's a brand, if it's a podcast, it's a social media, if it's a business, whatever it is, dive in and then build the ship. As they say, dive into the ocean and build the ship as you're floating. And then I could say, on the cigar side of things, if you're doing cigars, don't be afraid to ask the lounge owners. Ask the people that are in the lounge, whether they're people that are smoking or people that work there. Go in and ask them. Tell them, listen, I'm new into cigars. I'm not quite sure what to smoke. Can you give me some recommendations? Can you help me out? They are more than happy to help you out. They'll say, what do you typically like to drink? Do you like coffee? Do you like this? Do you like that? And they'll pair something for you. And then they'll say, okay, if you like that one, now try this one. Which one do you like more? And then you start to build your palate, and they'll know you. They'll remember. They always do. They'll remember what you smoke. They're very wise that way. So just don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask them to help you out.
Sure.
Okay, dope. Eric?
Yeah, just a real quick plug. You find Justin on Instagram, the Dapper Cigar. You can follow me on Instagram, Brother Cigar. Or follow us, the Burn Down Podcast, on Instagram, burndownpodcast.com. We do have a monthly members service where we do giveaways, where we're giving away cigars, we're giving away spirits, all different kinds of prizes. And, we drop an episode every Friday. And we've dropped an episode every Friday for over 3.5 years, thankfully. And it doesn't look like we're stopping yet. So if I had to give one word of advice regarding cigars, cigars are the cheapest form of therapy. You can either pay $20 for a cigar or $150 for a therapy session. So the choice is yours. Big Ken, Benji, and Trisha, we appreciate you guys and having us on. Thank you so much.
Sure. Appreciate you guys for pulling up on us, man. Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely been a great episode. I learned a lot, and y'all, I think they might have, convinced me to smoke a little bit. So
when
you all see my Instagram, and when you all see my posts and everything, you see me posted up smoking a great product. It belongs to the gentleman of the Burn Down Podcast, and that's why.
There we go. See, look at that. Look at how we spreading the love with cigars. We got my man about to get his puff on for Thanksgiving or something,
hey man, you know, I gotta do what I gotta do to support.
Thanksgiving's a great time to start smoking cigars. You're around family and friends. I mean, you're with all the people you
Yeah,
love.
nothing goes better with turkey, some stuffing, some mac and cheese, nice little bourbon and cigar at the end of the night. I mean, it sounds like a good time to me. So
I'm just saying, you know, I dig it. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully this little sinus thing is dealt with by then so I can taste the food. But, you know.
Oh, my God.
All right. Again, we appreciate you all joining us. It's been a great episode. We learned a lot. You all go follow them, go to their pages, you know, go to their website, buy some of this product, support them. Y'all, I mean, this is what it's all about. We love going to, you know, patronize other people's businesses and go to other people's platforms and look at their content, look at what they're doing, and be encouraged to come back to our podcast and include some of these things and bring some of these people on so we can learn what they're doing and they can kind of see how we do things. It's about learning and it's about adapting to different things. So we appreciate you all coming on with the cigar knowledge and the great background that you all have, because I'm pretty sure you've encouraged somebody to do something different or maybe take a different route today.
Yeah, and go share the content, man, when y'all check it out. Put it in your story. Check it out. Check it out.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
thank you guys very much for having us.
Appreciate it, gentlemen.
Happy Thanksgiving and God bless you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving. God bless you guys.
God bless.
For sure.
All right.
I like that. Get some cigar edification.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've literally never smoked anything in my life, period, bro. Like I bought cigars just to say I did when I was in Vegas, and the guy who, you know, I tell the story sometimes. I went to Vegas. I went to Caesar's Palace. I guess Suge Knight buys his cigars in that spot, in that cigar shop in Caesar's Palace a lot. The guy actually has a picture of him on the wall. So when I walk through the door, the guy looks at me and he's like, "Has anybody ever told you you look like Suge Knight?" Like, yeah, he was like, "Remarkably, you guys are like the same height and the same body build and everything." And he said, "Matter of fact, I got a picture with him right here. He comes in here all the time." And this was years back before he got locked up. So they were like, he comes in here all the time and buys, you know, his cigars. So he was like, "You should buy one." And then maybe people will say, "Okay, maybe that's Suge," or something like that.
Right.
So he sold me a cigar. And like I said, I hadn't bought cigars before. So I'm not a cheap person, but I wasn't thinking I was going to have to spend $20 or $30 just to, as we say back in the day, perpetrate like I'm smoking the cigar. And yeah, that cigar was $30 bucks. That was the cheapest one they had. It was the cheapest one they had in the place. So I was like, all right, but it worked because everywhere I went, you can ask my cousins, everywhere we went that weekend, they thought I was Suge Knight from the movie Straight Outta Compton. Shout out to them. I took a lot of pictures with people. We got in a lot of places for free. It was fun. And yeah.
I was just about to ask that. Did you get anywhere for free?
Hey, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it.
I mean, you might as well do it to death.
We got everywhere for free.
Right?
Yeah, we didn't pay. Actually, one spot, I think it was it One Oak? I think it's a spot called One Oak.
I like One Oak.
And yeah, the guy, we actually ran into the guy on the strip, and he saw us. It was about 10 of us, and we're all big guys, and he saw us walking, and he got out of the car, and he came up to us and was talking to us, and then he looked at me. He was like, "Hey, are you the guy from Straight Outta Compton?" Because Straight Outta Compton had just came out around that time. I think it was like 2015, 2016. And I was like, "Nah." He's like, "You look just like you look just like him." So he was like, "I'll tell you what. You and your guys, you come to the club tonight. I'm going to comp everything. We're going to give you guys a section. Just come on in and yeah, wear those shades, man. Wear those shades.
Like, just say yes if I shout you out."
Yeah. So hey, I didn't know. So I
just nod your head.
Hey, so we went. We had a good time. We posted up in the club. We had an amazing time on somebody else's dime. They even gave us bottle service for free. So, and I'm not a big drinker, so the people who I was with enjoyed it. But, you know, it had its perks. And you know what the crazy thing is? I was thinking when he was talking about the humidor, I still have that cigar from 2015, 2016. It's in the glove compartment of my truck.
Yeah, it was not good any longer.
Your boy, you spent $30 on the cigar and treated it like a stepchild, bro.
But it served its purpose. It served its purpose. So
It
He
did.
like, yeah, I got what I
$30
needed out
got
of
you a
it.
comp section in Vegas. Like,
yeah.
that's
So I mean, it served its purpose. So I can't
right.
argue. It was a well spent $30. And
It's
I
all
can't
right.
lie to you. I can't lie to you. For people who've been to Vegas, you know how much money you used to spend in Vegas. We were in Vegas for 4 days, and I can tell you the truth. I think, in hotel included, I think I may have spent maybe $250 in 4 days. That
Hey,
was
now
it. That was
Now
it.
that's not bad.
that's an epic Vegas.
That was it. And we went everywhere. We ate everywhere. We went out every night we were there.
That's one for the book.
And yeah, I spent $250. So
All right. So when you going again, Big Ken?
I think I won with that one.
I think I'm, I need a bodyguard or something.
We definitely need to go. And you know what? That might be a great opportunity for us to connect again, with them being on the West Coast and me being in the South. So I can travel from Texas to Las Vegas, and we can all meet there.
Easily.
We got to pull up to a studio in Vegas and do the show.
We have to live and all together.
Yeah, live with Patricia's forehead on deck.
Him and my forehead. That's why he's over there choking on his own snot.
Wow.
I mean, it's okay. I am. The struggle is real right now, so it's okay.
And I don't feel bad for him because he always talks about the weather there being so amazing. And now look what that weather did to you, my brother.
It's okay, man. It's all right. You know what I'm saying? It's a little struggle bus right now. You know what I'm saying? But we don't get over this. We shall overcome.
Uncovered that there's a big forehead underneath that hat.
Who? Mine?
Yes, we uncovered that lot. Go ahead, put your fingers up there. Go ahead.
Look at that. That's a smooth.
All 4 fingers.
Yeah.
Dang.
So
but Patricia, you got that laid hands forehead. You know what I'm saying? When you go to the altar, you know what I'm saying? You palm that head. You know what I'm saying?
I'm blessed. I'll stay blessed. Keep them hands and blessings.
All right, y'all. So before we get up out of here, y'all already know what we do. We go around, we let everybody say what they're gonna say before we get up out of here. Again, it's been a great episode. We appreciate the brothers from the Burn Down Podcast for coming through and blessing us with that cigar knowledge and their great story. So Trisha Michelle, talk to the people before we get up out of here.
One thing I can say is I think there was a comment from Angela Hodges. She said she doesn't smoke, however, she's gonna share the podcast for those who do. So that's the stuff like we love, the topic may not be something that you know of, but I love the fact that it was an unconditional interest in, support for us to still share it, to get us out there. And the stuff like that that's going to continue to take us to grow. So we thank you, Angela, for sure, for doing that for us. And then the same thing is my friend was like, what are you gonna do talking on there? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know about cigars. Right. And I came on and it was like, I come in, I'm open-minded. Let me hear, and it was really interesting. And I guarantee you, matter of fact, her and me will be at a cigar lounge for sure. And we're gonna get a little burned down cigar.
Yeah, there you go. See, that's what it's all about. So that's why we like you around here. You know what I'm saying? You're open-minded. Head just full of knowledge.
Oh Lord. Anyways, where you could find me and my forehead is on Instagram at Trisha Michelle _YT right there underneath me right here. And then on YouTube at Trisha Michelle, Facebook, Trisha Bynum. Of course, the Fiyah session every Tuesday. Make sure you guys head over there and follow because that's where I'm at all the time. You want to look for me? That's where you can find me.
Yeah.
Facts.
The brothers be trying to hit you up, so you gotta be careful.
Yes, and like I was just gonna say, every week, I kid you not, every week it's at least 1 or 2 guys that's gonna hit me and say, Ken, so what's up with Patricia? What's up with Trisha Michelle? I'm like, hey, you're on your own, shoot your own shot. She has a DM. Go ahead, follow her page and go to her DM. Shoot your shot.
Yes.
I can't
follow the show and watch. You can see her every Tuesday.
Follow the show.
Follow the show. If you ain't following the show, I mean, you ain't. I mean, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? Just say
I can't help you, fellas. So stop asking me because I'm not hooking you up. I'm not doing it. Thanks.
Yes.
Who even does that anymore? Get your lives together.
Yes.
You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed.
Brothers be scared. Brothers talk tough and be scared in the mud.
Yeah. Benji Banks.
Well, they should watch the Fiyah session so they can get some pointers on how to just approach and deal with women, period, if that's the case.
Girl, go on with your bad self. See, I like that. See, she cool. See, she's right.
Yeah.
You better, but I'm telling you, brothers, you better not be ugly because she gonna call you ugly for sure.
That's a fact.
Look, no, I am nice about it, okay? No.
Patricia, this is me you talking to, okay? Listen, I know you're gonna get you a good laugh in on some of these ugly brothers. I know it.
Oh my gosh. Look, I'm yeah, I'm not nice. Never mind.
Yeah, we know it. We know it. I'm glad you said it. I appreciate it.
Ninja Banks, get out your nose, man.
Right, I'm scared to ask where to find you at.
You can find him, man.
Right. Luckily, I got some assistance. You know what I'm saying, to help a brother tonight. It's a struggle. You know what I'm saying. So I'm just hoping I'll be able to just take some stuff and knock out. But I got to go grocery shopping. I got to get my Thanksgiving stuff together. So you know what I'm saying. But again, dope show, man. Y'all go peep us out. Y'all go check the Fiyah session. Go like, subscribe, do all that. You know what I'm saying. Go check your wine out. Make sure you get your orders in, all that type of stuff. Be on the lookout for some dope events coming up, though, from your boy. We're going to branch out a little bit more and start working out in these new little places. So we're going to make some things happen. So y'all can find me, IGBRB4701. Find me on Facebook. You can find me everywhere. Just don't, if you ain't spending no money, I mean, if you ain't liking, subscribing, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, you know. But although I sound like Glorilla right now, I gotta say, that little interview, that little thing she did with Cardi B, I like that.
She did
that was nice. That was nice.
Yeah, I don't have anything against anybody, especially Glorilla. I'm happy for her and her coming, right, and the way it happened. But I'm disappointed the fact that she didn't know that the ham was pork.
Yeah, that's a little struggle.
I seen you post that, and I was like,
it's pretty disappointing that she didn't know that ham was pork, and Sukiana did not know what an obstacle was. She was unfamiliar with the word obstacle. So
let us pray.
Oh, that's disappointing. That's disappointing in our young people that they don't know these basic things. But you know, hey,
Kiana's knowledge is an obstacle to her future.
I mean, you know what? These people are entertaining and they're entertainers and they're doing what they're getting paid to do. So it's working for them. So hey, shout out to them. Keep getting it the way you got it. Yeah. Yeah.
I ain't mad at it. I ain't hating on it. Whatever do your thing. You found your niche, so go on.
Like the old folks used to say back in the 90s, get it how you live. Shout out to Cash Money Records. Get it how you live, baby.
Get it how you live.
Hey, but y'all already know where y'all can find this. Y'all can find me at Big Ken's Comedy on IG, Big Ken's Comedy on Twitter, Big Ken's Comedy on Facebook. Y'all can follow the Fiyah session on all social media platforms. Just go through and type FIYAH session and hitting the search bar on any social media platform will pop right up. Go to YouTube, like and subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell so you can get notifications anytime we post shorts, we post reels, we post new content of any sort. You can get that notification because you don't want to miss it. Because you know what? I get a lot of people come to me and say, Ken, why don't y'all have an episode about this? I'm like, we already did that.
Right.
Go back to our catalog and check us out. We've been around for almost 3 years now. So, you know, we have plenty of content already out there and we got a lot more coming your way. So, get in the loop. Get in the loop.
Give me the loop.
I
mean, you know, hey, Benji's all about the money.
Benji's a little delirious right now.
Yeah, I am. I'm struggling right now, y'all.
I'm about to be delirious too because some of you all may not know, but your boy tore his Achilles last Monday night.
It's so hard to say goodbye.
Officially, I posted on social media like
Dwayne his jersey.
His rafters, his jersey hanging up in the rafters, and that's what I had to do this week. And just officially hang it up. And the doctor was like, "Well, yeah, you'll be ready to go by the summertime." I'm like, "Go where? I'm not going back to doing nothing."
Hold on. See, I got to pick with him because this is the brother, you know what I'm saying? I told him I could do a backflip, you know what I'm saying? And we got it done. And now he can't even go play basketball no more. You know what I'm saying? Patricia, you next. I'm going to need you to do a backflip or something.
I can still beat
How I'm gonna do something I don't even do at all? Nobody busting no backflip.
I can still
What?
be Benji. I can still be Benji. Just know that.
Right.
All
That's
that
what
matters.
matters.
It ain't happening. I ain't losing to no one leg. I ain't losing to no one leg, man.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Benji will never be able to outshoot me for sure. So whether I have one leg or not,
oh boy,
we're gonna have to make that happen.
Yeah, definitely. See, he don't know the jump. He don't know the jumper's wet.
I give him the backflip, but he can't outshoot me. I can promise you that.
He don't know the jumper's wet.
You can't come over here like we jumping and doing backflips like off you got served something. We're not doing all that.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying? Come on. Come on, you know what I'm saying? I know you used to be in cheer class or something, you know what I'm saying?
That is sad. I do not cheer. I wouldn't.
You never cheer? Dang.
No.
Dang. It's all right.
I was on the court.
The head held you down, huh?
I was on the court and I was running track.
Using track?
Yeah, and I was playing
basketball. You look like a track star.
So I'll race you. You know, I know you might have to take a lot of steps. Some legs ain't long, but we can get it going.
Now you think you can beat me running?
That's for sure.
See now you're getting into my expertise. We're gonna have to make this happen. You know what I'm saying? Y'all hear this, y'all? She just challenged me to a race. We might
just have to leave you in the kitchen.
Finish him.
I like that trash talk though. I like that. Because when I beat you, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, it's that 4-4 speed ain't nothing to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. You used to be 4-4. Now you're just 4-4.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I like that, Patricia. I like your confidence, but I'm gonna have to smoke you, okay, baby?
It's all right. You gotta breathe though, so get that part together first.
I can't breathe right now, y'all. I'm sorry.
Well,
I know this ain't good for the show, but
this dude, we gonna let y'all go, man. We're gonna let Benji get himself together. And
somebody send Benji something. Somebody pull up on him with some tacos. That's tissue.
Yeah.
I apologize, y'all. I know this is apropos to be on the show, but you know what I'm saying.
Mess out your nose. What's wrong with Benji?
This guy. Well, y'all,
right, get him some Mucinex. Get some Mucinex.
I gotta do something. You know what I'm saying. I got my boo gonna take care of me. She gonna make sure I'm all right.
Okay, his boo.
I'm just messing with y'all.
No, you're not.
Hey, what's up, little daddy? Yeah.
What's up, little daddy? Let me hit up the stud chick real quick. I choose it. I think she was in the comment section. So,
yeah. Well, hey, handle that.
Carry you back to good health.
Handle that, little daddy.
Little daddy.
All right, y'all. Well, we're gonna let y'all go. We had an amazing episode. We had a lot of fun as usual. We will be on break next Tuesday, so we will have some other content coming for you, and some clips from previous shows. And y'all can always go back to our website, to our YouTube site, and check out previous episodes and get caught up. And then we'll have some coming in December. Then we'll go on break for a little while to get ourselves together and get prepared for season 6.
Yeah.
So, but y'all keep rocking with us. We appreciate y'all supporting us. We don't take it lightly. We talk about it. We enjoy it, and we're very appreciative of you all. And we got some great things coming your way. We getting to the point now where we getting people to pour into us, so we can start pouring back into you, so we can start giving our audience some free stuff. So it's coming. It's coming. Just bear with us, and we can do that. So we appreciate y'all. I'm always appreciative of my guy, the brand, Benji Banks, and the lovely Trisha Michelle for joining us every week.
The first lady of the 5 Session podcast.
First lady, so we can do these amazing things, these amazing interviews. Couldn't do it without all 3 of us present, you know what I'm saying, because we make that great team. So I appreciate them as well. But you all have a great week. It's Thanksgiving. Be careful, you know what I'm saying. Eat and enjoy yourself, but don't overdo it. You know what I'm saying?
Eat and don't feel like you need to go start a gym routine. You good? Just eat your food.
Get your eat on, man. Get your eat on. And once I get over this, y'all pray for me. I hope it's gone by the night.
It ain't.
Because I got to taste some banana pudding.
I don't even want to know what type of pudding.
Okay.
I ain't making it. I ain't making no
pudding and tacos. Let's get it.
I'm gonna be eating tacos, okay?
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, no doubt. All right, y'all. Well, y'all have a good one,
guys.
We
Have a good one.
support. Y'all be safe. Y'all already know how we do it. Fire session. Peace.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to the Fire Session. Follow us on all social media platforms. Just search Fire Session.
What up,